I want to talk today a little bit more about one of my favourite subjects these days is a bloke by the name of Elon Musk, because he fascinates me in so many different ways. Not that I necessarily would like to be as wealthy as he has. However, having a bit more money never hurts. But I certainly am curious about what this man's motive is. And I actually view Elon Musk as a corporate terrorist. Now, I use that term because it's via his money that he is terrorizing people in the United States, particularly politicians, and his influence is extraordinary. And we've never ever seen anything like this in history. There have been other people that have influenced politics. There are many of them. Rockefellers come to mind. There have been people with money who have always influenced. George Santos, Soros is another one. So there have always been these people that have got money have tried to influence politics. But in this particular case, we have a billionaire who is now the wealthiest man ever, $500 billion, pardon me, and he is becoming more and more influential because he owns X, and not just because of that, but because of his platform and his influence with Donald Trump. He is increasingly being able to influence American politics, which is interesting given that he is South African. Could never be president himself because he was never born in the country. So, but nevertheless, he is doing what he can to try to influence people in the United States, particularly politicians, to vote in ways that he thinks are important. And one of the areas which he particularly likes, I guess, is that he sees himself as a disruptor. Now, because a person makes heaps of money, as he does, doesn't necessarily mean that politically he's smart, and certainly doesn't mean that he is politically empathetic to those people that are in the community who need government support. Now, my version of Elon Musk is that he's a psychopath, so he should fit very well with Trump until such time as Trump gets sick of him. And not only is he a psychopath, he's emotionally void. He's a vacuum. And he cannot and will not and is unable to be able to relate to normal people, even though he himself had an upbringing that one could say was abusive and certainly was not pleasant. But clearly, when you've got much money as he has, you don't seem to have to care about other people at all. You simply have to be able to influence as many as you can, not because he wants things to be better, but because there is self-interest in all of what he does. Now, I'm about to play a really interesting clip from MSNBC where they talk about exactly how much money he has made since the election and why that is so. And it's really a fascinating look at the reasons why someone like him would promote someone like Donald Trump. And we do need to remember there was a time when he declared himself as more of a Democrat than a Republican. But since he's been able to see the opportunity that rests with Trump, and it's now become so influential in terms of the decisions that Trump is likely to make. And the reason why this has happened is because he's been able to increase his own wealth and because he is the largest beneficiary from government spending. The largest beneficiary from government spending. So as a result of that, his stocks have risen even though he manufactures a crappy car called Tesla. So it's all happening, and his influence is all about, well, his electric vehicles, having them made at a cheaper price, not having tariffs imposed upon them because most of them are made in China, and ensuring that he gets the benefits from all the contracts that he now has with the government, with SpaceX, and other enterprises as well. So I'll just play this video clip from MSNBC, which better explains for you what Musk is all about, and particularly his financial benefits that he gets from becoming part of the Trump campaign.
Ratner has some charts on this. Steve, what are you looking at?
So not only is Elon Musk maybe the second or even the first most powerful man in Washington, he's also the richest man in the world, as you just suggested. So let's take a look at why. It's principally because of two companies. Tesla, his electric vehicle company, which we're all familiar with, has more than doubled its market value literally since the election. You can see down here the stock price was kind of piddling along, and now it just shot up after the election. The company is now worth 25 times what General Motors is worth, even though it produces far fewer cars. Why did it shoot up like that? Because Musk is obviously counting on government policy to help him keep out Chinese imports, put in other EV regulations that will favor Tesla, and so buyers are buying it. His other company, which may not be as familiar to people, is SpaceX, because it is the most valuable private company in the world. SpaceX only does its valuation twice a year because it's not publicly traded. But what's happened since the election is it's raised some more money at a value that is 67% higher than what it raised it at just 6 months earlier. So 67% up in one 6-month period. Why is that? Because SpaceX obviously is heavily dependent on government contracts and government support for its launches. In fact, the new head of NASA, the proposed head of NASA, has been on a SpaceX rocket twice and is an investor in SpaceX. So kind of imagine they're going to get more or less what they want. And so that is now a $350 billion company, the most valuable private company in the world, as I said. So when you put it together, what do you have? Musk has Tesla shares. He's got SpaceX. He's got Tesla options, which are just another piece of this puzzle. And then he's got a bunch of stuff that looks pretty small here, but it's $7 billion, it's $13 billion, it's $25 billion in OpenAI, in X, as we know, in some futuristic things called the Boring Company and Neuralink, all of which have gone up enormously in value. And so, as you said in your lead-in, what's happened? His net worth has gone up 135% since the election, $276 billion. He's now worth $480 billion, the wealthiest man in the world, half of that roughly since the election alone.
Wow, stunning. And Steve, you mentioned this with SpaceX and NASA, but conflicts of interest really concern a lot of people. If he is running this so-called Doge agency, could he not have the power to say, pull federal funding or pull federal contracts from a competing EV company, for example? Yeah,
this is sort of so far off the fairway, you're never even going to find this ball.
Yeah.
I mean, when you work in the government, and I did this, you are subject to rigid conflict of interest rules. You are required to divest yourself of anything that could prove a conflict in your work for the government. Obviously, he's not going to divest all this stuff. He's not even a government employee, which is a whole nother legal question as to what he can or should be doing. And so this is another classic example of kind of the swamp coming to Washington, and Trump and his people doing whatever they feel like, regardless of what's appropriate, regardless of what even the law is in some cases, perhaps.
It's really working for Elon Musk so far. So, Steve, let's get to some more of your charts on the Federal Reserve, which announced yesterday.
So we won't bother talking about the Federal Reserve because we don't give a shit. But there's an issue around having funding for the United States going through, because that was voted down overnight. And today, Friday, is their last opportunity to get that passed. And if they can't get it passed, it will simply mean that the country will not be able to pay its employees. And so a lot of employees will be furloughed, and some of those employees will be asked to work for free to keep the airlines going, for example, and other public services. So in a word, I guess, or in a couple of words, the United States is stuffed. But they are relying, it seems, they are influenced by a man who could see an opportunity, 10 out of 10 for that, Elon. He could see an opportunity to make a lot of money backing a winner such as Donald Trump, who, now I use that term winner loosely because he's not, he's a cartoon character being manipulated by others. And as a result of backing that horse, he has made an extra $235 billion. go Elon. And then there's this other issue about the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, which is a non-government organisation run by him and Swami, and as a result, they will endeavour to influence the government about things that need to be cut. And I can guarantee you right now, the things that will be cut will not have anything to do with any of Musk's projects. They won't. It'll be around social security, it'll be around education, it'll be around a whole host of things that these two guys are absolutely uninterested in, because they're interested in the financial benefit they can gain from standing alongside, helping Trump. Now, finally, the thing to remember here too is that Trump, who is an egomaniac himself, is likely to become tired of the attention that Elon Musk is getting. And at some point, this is my prediction, they are going to fall out. They're not going to be too happy with the way that Musk is asking for things. And there's certainly already at the moment some pushback from the Republican Party in relation to this, because 38 of the Republicans voted against this last proposal put forward by the Republicans in order to have the ceiling lifted and a whole host of other financial things happen. So already there's some pushback. There's going to be further pushback as the unrest occurs in the community in relation to many of the things that they're going to do around immigration and a whole host of a swath of other proposals placed forward by the Trump government, the administration, when it gets into power. So watch this space, because things are getting worse. And also, the other thing too that needs to be mentioned is that Elon Musk is planning to spend money on Nigel Farage's political party, the Fish in the Tank Party, to be able to influence them as well, so that he can start gaining what he could out of the potential rise of Farage's party. So, and I heard the other day, in fact, that someone had stated, I think it was one of Farage's supporters, that they'll become so popular over time that there's a good chance that Nigel Farage may become Prime Minister. Heaven forbid. But there again, stranger things have happened. A la Donald Trump. So who knows? And perhaps this is Elon Musk taking another gamble in the UK, hoping to influence their election outcomes as well, for his own benefit, I can assure you. The thing about being in Australia is no one cares. So they're not interested in us at all. And as a result of that, we can rest easy for a little while, until such time as we become important to some of these oligarchs like Elon Musk and Bezos and others. We will be left alone. But then our battle begins when we start to negotiate with the Trump administration issues around AUKUS and security in the Pacific. So let's see what happens. And as I said to you at the beginning, please subscribe look up my YouTube channel, Tony Tonkin Show, and subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to be able to get some further notifications. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves and the people that you love, and be safe.